Hi, Doug Andrew again. In this IUL Insiders training, again, my goal is to help you understand things well enough, but simply enough that you can explain it to your prospective clients. And so in this particular episode, you're going to be empowered to be able to answer the question, why would I want to pay the most premium into an IUL policy? See, most people don't think of life insurance that you're trying to pay the most premium. They think you buy life insurance to pay the least premium. So you will be asked this question. What are you going to say? Well, I usually say, well, you want to self-insure for tax-free living benefits. So you've learned so far in this series that the history behind universal life was primarily for living benefits. That E.F. Hutton, the brainchild, came up with the idea, hey, instead of trying to get X amount of insurance for the least premium for death, let's flip it. Let's do the opposite. Let's put in the most money that the IRS allows, the most premium that the IRS allows, and the least amount of death benefit they will let me get away with, and put in the money as fast as they allow, and this thing turns into a cash cow. Now, if you explain it that way, people will get curious, but then you need to sort of explain your self-insuring. Now, you will know this, but usually you don't have to explain in detail to your client unless they read the Laser Fund about this concept of self-insuring. And so this is why in the left brain side of the book, Chapter 13, there's 14 chapters in this side of the book, and Chapter 13 is titled The Self-Assurance of Self-Insurance. It actually starts on page 199. So you can refer to this chapter if I say things you go, wait, what again? I wish he would have explained that a little bit deeper. You can read the book, and my son does a very good job. He is the primary author of that particular chapter. So let's go through and talk about this self-insurance, going back to when E.F. Hutton came up with this idea. When Universal Life first came out in 1980, E.F. Hutton said, hey, let's put in the most premium that you want to. So people would come and I would say, well, let's see, what kind of non-performing assets do you want to reposition? And they may say, I have $100,000 sitting in a bank I don't know what to do with, and it's earning only 1%. And I go, yeah, let's get that out of there. Would you like to increase the safety and the rate of return by 5 times? Instead of earning 1%, 5%, and turn it into tax-free? Yeah, that's a no-brainer. Then they would say, well, I've got $200,000 after reading your book or coming to your seminar, Mr. Andrew, 200 grand in qualified plans, IRAs, 401ks. It's in the market. It's not doing very well. I want to get it out of the market. Now, if you're not licensed to sell securities, you're not supposed to give advice to tell them to sell their IRA 401k assets if it's in the market. But if you're a tax strategist, you can tell them the tax ramifications and teach them tax strategies. You let them govern themselves, and then they can go to a licensed advisor if you don't have a securities license and arrange to do a strategic rollout that we've taught you about in this series. And so maybe they want to reposition $200,000 net after tax out of their IRAs and 401ks to get rid of the market volatility and convert to tax-free. And let's say they have another $200,000 that they have on hand because they just sold a rental property, a duplex, a rental home, or whatever. And so many times when I sit down with people, they may have $200,000 of real estate equity they realize from selling a property, $200,000 of qualified monies they want to reposition, another $100,000 that's earning next to nothing in a bank. So that would be $500,000. Now, if that's all they told me, then the bucket size, the GSP, would be $500,000. I want to make a bucket big enough to hold $500,000. Now, we can't put it in all at once because of TAMRA. We can put in 100 grand a year, so we have to make sure we manage that so that it will be there and they don't lose it or they don't spend it. If they are wanting to put in monthly amounts, let's say $1,000 a month, that's $12,000 a year. You take 12,000 times 11 years and you have to make room for their monthly deposits, what they will be during the first 11 years. So by reading the book, you'll understand how to calculate the GSP. So as we talk about this, let's just say simply, the guideline single premium is $500,000. Way back when E.F. Hutton first came up with this idea, they said, let's just self-insure. So that means if I pay $500,000 into an account, here a policy, and I'm self-insuring, well, if the amount of insurance I want is $500,000, then I self-insured. I put in $500,000 so that the money is there if I die. I self-insured. Well, what risk is there to the insurance company if the death benefit is $500,000 and you put in $500,000? There is no risk. There is no cost. And this is what the IRS objected to when they challenged E.F. Hutton and went to court back in the early 1980s. And then they came out in 1982 with the TEFRA and 84 with the DEFRA tax citations, the corridor that dictated the minimum amount of insurance that had to come along for the ride in order to qualify as tax-free in sections 72E, 7702, and 101A of the Internal Revenue Code, like you've learned. And so you should know off the cuff approximately how much insurance a 20-year-old, a 30-year-old, a 40-year-old, a 50-year-old, a 60-year-old is going to have as far as a ratio based upon the GSP. So for example, I've been using this example throughout this series. If a 60-year-old wanted to be grandfathered to put in $500,000, I know off the top of my head, because I've done thousands of these illustrations, that the amount of insurance under TEFRA and DEFRA is going to be about $1,250,000. Again, they could buy way more life insurance death benefit than that. That's not the objective. The objective is to take the least amount of insurance, and that is $1,250,000 if I'm 60 years old, if I want to be grandfathered to put in $500,000. Now, there's two options when you set up an insurance policy, and you're not set in concrete if you choose one over the other first. You can switch back and forth between the two options. One is usually referred to as option A, the other one option B. Option B is generally, with most insurance companies, what is called the increasing death benefit option. Option A is called the level death benefit option. It actually decreases the amount at risk. So let's just simplify this as far as math is concerned. In this example, if I put in $500,000 into a $1,250,000 policy, and I chose option B, the increasing death benefit, and I died after I had put in $500,000, let's say the cash value is $500,000, the cash value is added on top of the death benefit. If I died, I would leave behind $1,750,000 income tax free. So the cash value is added on top of it. Now, a lot of people say, yeah, that's what I want. If I die, I want my cash value added on top of the death benefit. Well, that sounds good if you want to maximize what you leave behind. That's a smart thing to do if you plan on not living very long, okay? So I would say if your client thinks they're going to die in the next 5 to 10 years, that might be a good option. But you can always switch over to that if you find out you have a terminal illness. There's been many, many times, I think of one client, she took out a $2 million policy and she was maximum funding it, and then she came down with adult onset diabetes. She also had dementia, which turned into Alzheimer's. As soon as we saw that happening and the life expectancy was reduced, we switched to option B, which meant that all of the cash value from that point forward would be added on top of the death benefit from that point forward, okay? It doesn't go back to the original death benefit. That's option B. You're trying to maximize what you leave behind when you die. If you're trying to maximize your internal rate of return, if you're trying to earn 9 and net 8, or if you earn 7 net 6, or if you earn 11 net 10, if you want to have the net rate of return within 1 percentage point of the gross rate of return, then you want to choose option A most of the time. Option B sometimes can be used if someone's going to fund a policy out of income for 8, 9, 10, 15 years. Sometimes we'll do it there, or a strategic rollout out of IRAs and 401ks that's going to take maybe 14 or 15 years instead of the TAMRA shortest period of 5 years. Sometimes when you look at the illustrations, it may behoove you to use option B at first, but then you may want to switch back over to option A to optimize the income and minimize the costs. Generally speaking, most people, we choose option A. Here's why. I'm trying to self-insure. And so if I put in $500,000 and I choose option A, that qualifies as part of the original required death benefit, in this case, $1,250,000 for a 60-year-old. So that means if I put in $500,000 and the death benefit stays at $1,250,000 and I die, they only pay out $1,250,000, but I didn't create the insurance contract for the primary purpose of maximizing what I leave behind. I wanted to maximize my income. So I want the cost of the insurance to go down every year I get older. Now, that's sort of foreign to most people. People say, well, every year you get older, the cost of insurance goes up. Yes, the COI, the cost of insurance per thousand of coverage at risk, goes up as you get older. Under TEFRA and DEFRA, under option A, as you have your cash value grow, if it qualifies as part of the death benefit, the amount of insurance that you're being charged for goes down, 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 down. So even though the cost of insurance per thousand goes up, the amount of thousands that are being charged against your policy is getting way less. This is how maximum funded indexed universal life gets cheaper as you get older. So if I have $500,000 in there, the death benefit was $1,250,000, the amount at risk is only the remaining $750,000 at that point. The insurance company is only going to charge you the insurance for $750,000. Now, let's say you put your $500,000 in and you're earning 10%, like I've earned 10.07% many times. 10% will double your money every 7.2 years. At 7.2%, your money doubles every 10 years. So in 7 to 10 years, your $500,000 of cash value now is worth $1 million. So wait a minute. If I have $1 million of cash value under option A, that means the $1,250,000 that I started with, $1 million of it now is my own money. The insurance company is only charging me for the remaining $250,000. I'm 10 years older, let's say, and I'm paying for way less insurance than I was paying for 10 years younger. And so the cost of the insurance is going down on the policy. Let's go one more doubling period. So $1 million in 7 to 10 years is going to double to $2 million. Now wait a minute. What happens now? You have $2 million of cash value. The original death benefit was only $1,250,000. Well, TEFRA and DEFRA says that the death benefit now grows with the cash value and it stays 5% ahead of it. So when you have $2 million of cash value, the death benefit will have grown to $2.1 million. What amount is at risk? Only $100,000. So you have $2.1 million of death benefit, but $2 million of it you've self-insured. It's your own money. That means that as you get older, the insurance becomes cheaper because pretty soon the interest, now $2 million doubles to $4 million. We've actually had clients who put in $500,000 30 years before, and it doubled to $1 million, to $2 million, to $4 million, to $8 million. And they have $8 million now, and they're able to pull out $600,000 to $800,000 a year of tax-free income. The cost of the insurance, now that they're 30 years older, and I have policies like this, is 1/20th what it was when they were 30 years younger. Most insurance agents don't even know how to structure a policy to do this. So if it gets cheaper, what does it mean? Generally, when I explain it to clients, I say over the long run, if we earn 7, we want a net 6. If we earn 10, we want a net 9. If we earn 15 one year, we want a net 14. About 1 of the percentage points that we've been earning in interest on the average is what pays for the insurance that the IRS says has to be there, or it's not going to be tax-free. It's going to move from the tax-free sections of the code, 72E, 7702, and 101A, over to the taxable section of the code, investments. And I don't want that. Investments are also subject to volatility. I don't want that. I want it to be life insurance. I don't want it to be categorized as an investment. That's why we have disclaimers all over the place that says life insurance should not be purchased as an investment, because it's not. It's tax-free insurance. I don't want the features of an investment. They're taxable and they're subject to market volatility, generally speaking. So when we self-insure, and I tell people, about 1 percentage point. So over 20 years, 30 years, if you've been earning 11, you're probably netting about 10. If you've been earning 9, you're netting 8. And so it's usually within 1%. But right now, I'm 68. If I earned, let's say, 11% this year, I would probably be netting 10.9 something. In other words, the cost of insurance on my universal life that I bought 30 years ago, even though I'm 30 years older, is only draining out this one isolated given year 1/10 of 1%. Because the interest on my cash value is way more than the cost of the insurance. The cost of the insurance is only 5% of the original insurance I started with, because that's the amount at risk, because I'm self-insuring. When people understand how to self-insure, that is grandfathered in the Internal Revenue Code, Section 101A. For over a century, a death benefit is tax-free. And when you get down to the nitty-gritty, that's what we're talking about. I am putting money in as it grows and it qualifies. It is the death benefit. I have self-insured. The amount at risk to the insurance company is this, and the interest on all my cash value, the cost of insurance is just a minuscule portion of the money that I'm earning over here on my cash value. And frankly, that little cost is small compared to the amount of tax I would be paying if I put my money where most Americans put their money, in IRAs and 401ks. So insurance isn't free, nothing's free, but I'm not paying for it. When people say, so Doug, how much does your insurance cost? And I go, well, I'm not paying for it. It's not free, but I'm not paying for it. Well, who's paying for it? Well, it's being paid for with a minuscule portion of interest that would otherwise go out the window in unnecessary income tax if I did what most Americans do. I'd have to be earning 15 or 16% in a tax-deferred IRA or 401k, and then pull out my money to net 9 or 10. I can earn 11 and net 10. I can earn 10 and net 9 in an indexed universal life. And what's that 1%? It's the cost of the insurance, which really isn't a cost. It's watering a money tree that's going to blossom when I die. It's not a cost, it's a benefit. See, we don't object to insurance benefits. We object to paying for them. I've never had a widow or a widower turn down an insurance check when I come to deliver $1 million or $5 million. Oh, no, I don't want that. No, we don't object to the benefits. If I was your employer, and I came and I said, you know what, we've had a banner year this year. We're going to offer some free life insurance as a benefit to all of you. How much would you like? Guess what people say? As much as I can get. Yeah, we don't object to the benefit. We object to paying for it. If I don't have to pay for it, I'll take as much as I can get because it's being paid for with otherwise payable income tax. So I look at it like Uncle Sam is paying for my insurance. Now, they really aren't directly, but indirectly, my insurance, millions on my life, is paid for with what most people shell out in unnecessary income tax. Why do that? When you understand the self-assurance of self-insuring, this is so dynamic, and it's grandfathered in the Internal Revenue Code because Section 101A says, when you have insurance and it's in life insurance, it is tax-free, cut and dried. You can access money under Section 7702. As it grows, it's Section 72E. It is like the only vehicle in the Internal Revenue Code that allows you to accumulate, access, and transfer your money totally income tax free. So that's pretty dynamic. I hope you got a few epiphanies in this episode. Study it, read chapter 13 in the book to understand more. As you explain this to people who ask, they are going to go, wow, I didn't know what I didn't know. This almost sounds too good to be true. Why isn't everybody doing this? Well, I'm going to tell you how to answer those questions too.